Aliens called us monsters, because we smiled while bleeding. The battlefield was quiet in that uncanny way war sometimes allowed, when the guns went silent, when the smoke drifted but no fresh fire fed it, when the air smelled like iron and ash and bodies. Commander Elias Dane could taste blood in his mouth. He wasn't sure if it was from the cracked rib that had pierced a lung or from the split across his cheek that hadn't stopped bleeding for an hour. His body screamed at him to stop. But he couldn't. Not while the enemy still held the ridge. He pushed himself upright, leaning on the broken haft of a spear he'd scavenged. His rifle was long since gone, stripped away in the last charge. His uniform was a ruin of torn fabric and dark patches that would never wash clean. Yet when his soldiers looked at him, what was left of them, they saw the same fire that had kept them moving since dawn. "On your feet," he rasped, voice shredded raw. "We're not finished." There were barely 24 left from the 200 that had stormed the valley that morning. Their armor hung off them in pieces, weapons scavenged from fallen comrades or ripped from the hands of the dead enemy. Blood streaked every face. Some limped. Some clutched wounds that should have laid them out hours ago. But when Dane started climbing the ridge, they followed. High above, behind layers of alien alloy shielding, the Threx warlords watched the feed with their multifaceted eyes. The humans were supposed to have broken by now. Every other species in the galaxy would have broken, half the casualties, half the wounds, and they would have surrendered or simply collapsed where they stood. "They are not soldiers," hissed one of the Threx generals. "They are aberrations." On the screen, a human trooper staggered up the incline, one arm hanging uselessly, guts half spilled from a gash across his abdomen. The soldier should have been dead. Instead, he pressed a rag against the wound with one hand and kept his rifle steady with the other, climbing beside his commander. Another soldier's leg bent the wrong way at the knee. She wrapped it in a strip of torn cloak, tied it tight, and crawled after the rest. She wasn't screaming. She was smiling, grinning through broken teeth as if daring death to catch her. The Threx recoiled. This was not war. This was butchery committed by the damned themselves. Dane's lungs burned like acid. Every step up the ridge was agony. His vision blurred, but he forced it to sharpen again and again. Pain was an old friend by now. Pain meant he was alive. "Sir," Corporal Mendez croaked at his side. His left eye was swollen shut, his right hand just a bloodied stump. Still, he cradled a blade in his other hand like it was a holy relic. We can't keep this up." Dane turned, lips splitting into a grin that showed blood-stained teeth. "Mendez, we don't stop. Ever. Not until they're running. Not until they remember who we are." The grin spread, infectious. Mendez coughed out a laugh, though it hurt him. Behind him, another soldier snorted and wheezed through cracked ribs. Even half dead, they laughed. The aliens watching couldn't understand. When the humans hit the top of the ridge, the Threx defenders opened fire. Plasma bolts screamed through the air, charring the earth, burning holes through flesh. 3 humans dropped instantly. Dane barely flinched. He tore the spear free of the dirt and bellowed, voice carrying above the din. "Charge!" They charged. They should have broken. They should have turned back. But the sight of their commander, bleeding from half a dozen wounds and smiling like a madman, drove them forward. They didn't run like trained soldiers. They ran like predators. The Threx line faltered. Not because the humans outnumbered them, they didn't. Not because their weapons were stronger, they weren't. But because these broken, battered, blood-soaked creatures came at them with a fury that had no place in rational warfare. One human leapt the barricade and wrestled a Threx gunner to the ground, jamming the bayonet deeper even as a plasma bolt tore through his chest. He didn't stop until the alien stopped moving. Another crawled through the mud, dragging both legs useless, and still managed to slit the tendon of a Threx warrior's leg before being trampled. The commander himself was a whirlwind of pain and rage. He fought with the broken spear until it snapped, then tore a rifle from a dead enemy and kept moving. His body should have quit long ago, but his eyes burned with something no alien soldier had ever seen, joy. He was enjoying this. From their command post, the Threx warlords panicked. They should not be alive, one shrieked. They take wounds that end battles, they do not fall. They smile through it. Another hissed back, they are not soldiers, they are monsters. And yet the feed showed it again and again, humans bleeding, humans laughing, humans smiling through cracked lips as they cut down warriors twice their size. The Threx had fought hundreds of species. Some were cunning. Some were strong. Some were resilient. But none had ever bared their teeth in the middle of agony and dared the galaxy to kill them. By nightfall, the ridge belonged to the humans. Barely 10 still stood, though half of them were propped against each other to remain upright. The ground was littered with the bodies of the Threx defenders, dozens for every human lost. Dane stood at the center, swaying, blood dripping from his chin. His body was a map of wounds, burns, cuts, punctures, but his grin hadn't faded. He planted the broken spear into the earth like a banner. "This ridge is ours," he rasped. His soldiers roared what voices they had left. Above, watching through shattered pride and trembling limbs, the Threx counselors whispered the word that would follow humanity across the stars for centuries. Monsters. But Dane didn't care. None of them did. To be called monsters by those who tried to break them was no insult. It was a badge of honor. Because humanity had survived worse. Because they were still here, smiling through blood. And because tomorrow, when the Threx regrouped, when the galaxy tried again, they would charge once more. Laughing. Bleeding. Unbroken.